Any questions? No? You good? Okay. Yeah? How's? Oh, how's Fufi? Wow, that's a deep cut. Man. You can't just ask me that like just random. You gotta be like, hey, Trevor, so I read in your book, and you can't just be like, how's Fufi? Because my mind went, who the hell? Fufi? No, because Fufi died. So for those who don't, so I had a dog when I was growing up. Like one of the dogs we had, my mom was working at a pharmaceutical company, and her colleague came to work one day and was like, hey, my neighbor's dog impregnated my dog, so now I have all these puppies I don't want, and they're like this weird mix of like a bull terrier and a Maltese poodle. So do you want to take them? And the mom was like, all right, I'll take 2. And then my mom brought them home, and I'd never had a dog before, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. And so we raised them, and it was 2 beautiful dogs. They looked completely different, but they were sisters. They were the best, Fufi and Panther. And my mom called the one Panther because she had a pink nose, so the pink Panther. And then, and Fufi was like the dumbest, most beautiful dog ever. And Panther was the smartest, ugliest dog you've ever seen. And so like I loved Fufi the most because she just like looked really vicious. And I used to think that Fufi was really stupid. And then one day what happened was, like at our house, somebody was trying to like come into the house, like a family friend, and they were trying to open the gate, and then they moved the gate, and then the gate fell. And then Panther ran away because they like to sleep by the gate, and then Panther ran, but then Fufi didn't. And then the gate hit her, and then like it broke her spine. It was devastating. So then we went to the vet, and then like the vet was like, I can't help her, you know, we've got to put her down, put her out of her misery. And the vet was like, but this was amazing. How were you guys, like, how did you guys raise a deaf dog? And we were like, what? And he was like, we were like, what do you mean a deaf dog? And he was like, oh, like afterwards, like when I was just going through examining her while she was still like living, I realized that she wasn't born with, I guess, a certain part of the cochlea or something. And we were like, wait, this dog was deaf the whole time? And we just genuinely, I'd literally just be like, Fufi, sit! Listen to me! Sit, Fufi! And I was like, you're so dumb! You're so dumb! And I never knew that the dog, and then we realized, what used to happen was, when we'd call the dogs, we'd be like, Fufi, Panther, and Fufi would never come, but Panther would come running sometimes, and then she'd like look at you, and then she'd run back, and then they would both come. And I always used to be like, Fufi's just dumb. And then I realized Panther was like, she didn't hear, and then she'd go back and fetch her, and then both of them would come. And then like now I went back and my was like, Fufi, Fufi, I miss you, Fufi. So that's how Fufi's doing. She's, yeah.